Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Hope you are great. Came across video of a white man saying that systemic racism is not a thing, that black people are making it up in order to make noise and all that. Sir, may that noise come to your doorstep. And may it also be a blessing to your household, because majority of you are very careless with your words, that you come online as a full-grown adult and think that you can say whatever you want and get away with it. Some of you all know what is going on in this country and how the system has been designed for you people, not for people that look like me. Because tell me how, with I as a black person, or you as a black person, will step out to probably buy a house, and they will tell you, you spoke to them on phone and they will say, come and check the house. One, immediately you come in and you see that you are a black woman or a black man, you are no longer fit for that house, because it's something that, see, don't angry me this morning. It's too early where I am at the moment. Now, there is no systemic racism. What of all the redlining that is going? See, I am sure you all may have seen videos of racism that has been happening to people that look like me, especially black women in the hospital who actually went to give birth, and they are saying that they are in an active labor. I am sure you all saw that video. And you all are not saying, did not do anything, did not, even one gave birth 12 minutes after that brouhaha. One gave birth on the way because 8 minutes. And I saw a video of a black man who, don't get me angry. Let's get into this video.
Systemic racism does not exist in America in 2025, but there is systemic victimhood.
Shut the hell up, Mike. Yes, systematic racism does exist in the United States. There is decades upon decades upon decades upon decades of data to show this. You can deny it all you want, but at the foundation of this country, it was founded for the prosperity of straight white men like you. Systematic racism, Mike, is when black women and men face more prison time than white men and women who do the exact same goddamn crime. Systematic racism, Mike, is when the statistical fact that predominantly black neighborhoods are over-policed now and still today. Systematic racism is when President Obama had to face an accusation that no other president in our history faced, whether or not he was born in this country. Obviously he was born in Hawaii, but you still have conservatives, people on your side of the aisle, to this day still maintaining the fact that Obama was born in Kenya. No other president in our history had to go through that kind of accusation. Denial is only a river in Egypt, Mike. Hope this helps.
You're another one who needs cartoons? Okay, well, put your crayons down and watch this video. Try to follow along.
America's history of systemic racism. To understand it better, let's look at what life was like for Kevin and Jamal's grandparents. Decades after the Civil War, many government agencies started to draw maps dividing cities into sections that were either desirable or undesirable for investment. This practice was called redlining, and it usually blocked off entire black neighborhoods from access to private and public investment. Banks and insurance companies used these maps for decades to deny black people loans and other services based purely on race. Historically speaking, owning a home and getting a college education is the easiest way for an American family to build wealth. But when Jamal's grandparents wanted to buy a house, the banks refused because they lived in a neighborhood that was redlined. So Jamal's grandparents were not able to buy a home, and because colleges could prevent them from attending through legal segregation, their options for higher education were really scarce. Kevin's grandparents, on the other hand, got a low-interest loan to buy their first house and get accepted into a handful of top universities, which traditionally only accepted white students. This opened up a wealth of opportunities that they were able to pass on to their kids and grandkids. Even as late as the 1980s, an investigation into the Atlanta real estate market showed that banks were more willing to lend to low-income white families than to middle or upper-income African-American families. As a result, today, for every $100 of wealth held by a white family, black families have $5.04. A 2017 study confirms that redlining is still affecting home values in major cities like Chicago today. This explains how Kevin and Jamal inherited vastly different circumstances. Unfortunately, the story doesn't end there. A big part of systemic racism is implicit bias. These are prejudices in society that people are not aware that they have. Let's go back to Kevin and Jamal. Against all odds, Jamal manages to be the only student from his high school to get accepted into a great university, the same one that Kevin and his high school friends are attending. But after Kevin and Jamal both graduate, Jamal notices that his resume isn't drawing as much interest as Kevin's, even though they graduated from the same program with the exact same GPA. Unfortunately for Jamal, studies show that resumes with white-sounding names get twice as many callbacks as identical resumes with black-sounding names. Implicit bias is one of the reasons why the black unemployment rate is twice the rate of white unemployment, even among college graduates today. You can see evidence of systemic racism in every area of life. The disparities in family wealth, incarceration rates, political representation, and education are all examples of systemic racism.
Did that help a little bit, Kevin? Oh.
Systemic racism does not exist in America in 2025, but there is systemic victim.
Ah, yes. If it isn't my old frenemy and longtime political rival, Professor Michael, with yet another bad take that he bought and purchased at crackofyourass.com. Michael, you said this: systemic racism does not exist in America or in the United States in 2025, but systemic victimhood does. Michael, I do believe you and I have had this tangle before. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle part one of that, or part two of that first, and then get to part one. Michael, do you remember a little movement called the Tea Party? You know, that group that started because they were taxed enough already? Remember them? Showed up at the tail end of the Bush administration because we were getting ready to bail out the banks to the tune of $787 billion for their subprime mortgage debacle. Yeah. So the Tea Party morphed or mutated, Michael. Do you remember what happened that made them mutate? Do you want me to give you the answer, Michael, or can you figure it out on your own? You know what? For the sake of this video, I'll give it to you. Michael, the Tea Party mutated the moment the United States elected Barack Obama, a man of Kenyan and Kansan, lineage. But what was unique about him again? Oh, that's right, Michael. He was the first black president of the United States. And when that happened, the Tea Party went from taxed enough already to, isn't racism still on the shelf? Go get it. Do you not remember them yelling racial slurs at Representative Emanuel Cleaver from Missouri? Do you not remember them throwing homophobic slurs at Representative Barney Frank? This was the Tea Party, Michael. And Fox News and a whole bunch of right-wing bloggers like the Drudge Report, remember them? Oh, they loved the Tea Party. No matter how racist the Tea Party got, they were there trying to, film it all, because this was a movement, Michael. Remember that? A movement based in racism, which for some reason, Michael, you said it doesn't exist. But that's the rub, Michael. That's the rub. You said that they don't exist in 2025, but this was 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, Michael. This wasn't back in the day. This was fairly recent. But then the Tea Party movement mutated again. And what did they mutate to, Michael? The birther movement. Oh, the birther movement. When the first time in American history a president was asked about his goddamn birth certificate. Why was Barack Obama asked about his birth certificate, Michael? Remember, you said systemic racism does not exist in 2025. but systemic victimhood does. So why would Barack Obama be being asked about his birth certificate when no other president up until that point ever did? Why was he doing that? Why did that happen? Oh, Michael, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think you know why. I'm going to leave it to your imagination because I really do think you know why he was asked for his birth certificate. But I digress, Michael. And the birther movement morphed and mutated one more time. And why did the birther movement mutate one more time? Oh, Michael. Who got elected after him? Who was elected after Barack Obama? Michael, it was the chief birther. Remember him? Donald Trump? See, the birther movement mutated one more time into the Make America Great Again movement. A movement that consists of all the former taxed enough already people, all the fuck them taxes, we're going to be racist people, and the hey, tell the Negro he has to show his birth certificate movement into one big glob. From 2015 till right now. Wow, Michael, that would mean in that 10 years, systemic racist thoughts, systemic racist ideas, and systemic racist beliefs were coalesced and gelled around the one guy that won't go home. The guy with 34 felonies, even though we were told you can't be president if you have felonies. The guy who is an admitted 6 times bankrupt person, even though we were told you couldn't get into government office if you were bankrupt. The guy who lives in government housing, has 3 baby mamas and 5 children, even though y'all said black men were like that. Michael! Seems to me that Trump is more of those stereotypes than Obama was. Now, Michael, I know what you're thinking. This does not disprove that systemic racism exists in 2025. Michael, it absolutely does. You see, all of the bars and standards that African Americans were told we have to do to assimilate into American society, Donald Trump never has. He never has. He's not a Christian. He's a charlatan that pretends to be a Christian. He's a so-called not racist person who says racist shit like Somali people are garbage. Shithole countries. Go back where you came from. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending the best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Michael, why would Donald Trump be saying that in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and again in 2025, if he had not learned it and it had not been made acceptable by people that look like you? Yes, Michael, there is victimhood, but it's not the victimhood you think. You see, we, and by we, I mean those of us in marginalized communities, we're not studying you people. We're really not. I promise you this. But y'all can't seem to stay out of our communities. Y'all can't seem to stay out of our cultures. Y'all can't seem to stay away from things that doesn't belong to you. That, Michael, is your systemic victimhood. Systemic victimhood was Charlotte, where Heather Heyer died. Systemic victimhood is people clinging on to these old Confederate statues so hard. Systemic victimhood is wanting to wave the Confederate flag when you know goddamn well it's a symbol of hate. And Michael, to round this video out, the biggest whiny victimhood rally I've ever seen in my entire life was January 6, 2021. So, Michael, who's truly being victims here? Is it those of us who strive despite, or is it people that bitch because? And Michael, one more thing, just because I like you. The beard, love the beard, but your takes have not aged well in 5 years, my friend. Maybe it's time for you to stop listening to Fox News and OAN. Pick up your computer, go to Google, type in things, and learn more. As always, Michael, it's very good to see you again.
Black people need to stop complaining about systemic racism and take some personal responsibility. Everyone is equal under the law now. They may be policed more, but that's only because they commit a disproportionate amount of the crime. Why? Well, I'm not saying that black people are naturally more likely to be criminals or anything. I just think it's a part of their culture. Why? Well, probably because their dads weren't around to raise them properly. Why? I don't know, probably because they were too poor to afford a kid, so they left. Why? Well, they probably can't get a good job because they never went to college. Why? Well, I guess it is probably because they couldn't afford it, but they didn't get good enough grades to get a scholarship either. Why? Well, I guess that is probably because their school is underfunded. Why? Because school funding is determined by property taxes and they were born into poor areas. Why? Because their family hasn't been able to build enough wealth to move out. Why? Because the first black people who were born with equal rights under the law are less than 60 years old.
There is another black woman on this app who is begging for help, was dismissed, and now is about to have to turn off life support on her baby. I want you to hear me when I say this. She had high blood pressure, a headache, protein in her urine, and her baby was not moving. And her care team told her that that was normal at the end of pregnancy. She begged to be induced, and they told her that they would put her on an induction list. She called every day. She was not on an induction list. So she went to another hospital at 42 weeks pregnant. They put her on the monitor, saw that her baby was in distress, and immediately took her for an emergency C-section. Her baby is brain dead. She is going to have to turn off life support on her baby. There's a bill that was introduced this week named after Mercedes Wells, who I talked about last week, who was turned away in labor and had a baby on the side of the road. Now, the Wells Act stands for Women Expansion for Learning and Labor Safety Act. And it's all about making sure that people have a safe discharge, because Mercedes did not get that. Now, I want to talk about what it does and does not do, because we have to do more. So it would require a provider to have to clinically justify a discharge, medically saying that this is the right thing to do, which we should be doing anyways. But in that justification, they have to also assess how far away does this person live from the hospital? Do they have reliable transportation? Do we have a backup plan in case they can't get back? And do they understand all the risks and benefits of being discharged? The most important thing, in my opinion, that it does is requires healthcare facilities to have racial bias training for their employees. And I don't even want to hear, oh, it's not a racial thing. Black women are dying. Their babies are dying at 3 times the rate of white women. So while I agree everyone should be listened to, black women specifically are not. But how do we intervene in situations when they're not planning on going home, but something feels wrong or off, or they feel like they're not being listened to? Or within a prenatal appointment, when you're explaining something that feels wrong or is not being taken seriously, how do you get the help that you need then? At every hospital, you have a series of codes. A code blue for if someone's dying, a code hemorrhage for if someone's bleeding, or like in my hospital, a code APGAR if a baby needs resuscitation. But why can't there be something like a code listen or something that a patient could call that would rally several different people into their situation to have more eyes on what's going on. In an ideal scenario, it would include a nurse, another doctor, a hospital administrator, a social worker, a chaplain, so that we can make sure that whatever they feel is not being listened to or heard or taken seriously would have way more eyes on it. And maybe every once in a while you have someone that just needs further understanding of what's going on, and that's all it takes to make them feel safe. But how many of these situations could we prevent if we escalated the chain of command immediately? I don't know if this needs to be like a national hotline or like volunteers within a hospital system who truly care about this, who want to be the safety net for someone. Does this exist? Have we tried it? Is there anywhere that has anything like this? I'm so glad that people are finally talking about this. I've been talking about this for years. But besides changing the racial landscape, which we should be working on in the long term, how do we intervene in these acute situations that are happening right now?
From this video, and I am going to try as much as I can to infuse some videos afterwards in order to make you all understand that systemic racism is real. And the fact that some people are busy lying to themselves, because I call them liars. Anybody that can mount a camera and sit on it and tell you that systemic racism is not a thing must really be a fat liar. He knows what he's doing. He's just trying to, appease his ancestors or his gods or his MAGA community, because you and I can see it. It's all over, especially redlining. Now, let me tell us some certain things. There is a video that I still have today. I have not posted that video. I made that video about 2 weeks ago. I made a video in November, maybe like middle of November. Why I couldn't post it because YouTube has refused to allow me air the video. And you definitely will understand that notice that there are some videos that I post without even writing anything on it. I don't even tag them, just post the no thumbnail, because I have already been censored. They are censoring my videos so much now. So let's get into this video. People are very quick to tell you that racism or systemic racism does not, it doesn't exist. Now, there is a video, so many videos some weeks ago about how many women that went to the hospital to give birth. What did you see? You see beautiful women who were screaming and they were in pains, because they were in active labor. And the nurses did what? They did not do anything. Why? Because it is none of their business. One ended up giving birth, that is 12 minutes after all the brouhaha. The other one, who was also chased away from the hospital, while she and her husband stepped out to look for somewhere else to get to go to another hospital. Along the road, she gave birth. Some of you all may not understand some certain things you guys do, but I know you are baiting, bro. You are baiting. You are trying to appease your MAGA community. Now, let me tell you something. I remember the things that I read after slavery, right? When the slaves were freed from the plantation. This is to tell you that this system is something that they have built long time ago. For those that do not know, right? Each time I tell you that the system is not broken, that the system is working the way it was designed, I know what I am saying, because I've been able to read some certain things, to understand some certain things about Black people. And I am still reading, because at some point, I do not need anybody to tell me about about my people's history. I have to tell that history by myself, because I am already grown. Before, we let the media tell the story. Why? Probably because we were too young to understand some certain things. Yeah, maybe I was too young. But the truth is that I think my uncles said some things like this. My family is, because majority of my uncles all schooled in United States of America. And they are still very much alive and very young too. Now, let me tell you something. After slavery, they decided to, they already freed them. Everybody looking for a way to survive because people have to get job. Life had got to continue. Life is not on pause. The people that told you that they freed the slave decided to also make a law. What does the law, Vagrant's law? What does it mean? It means that when they see you lecturing as someone that look like me, they will take you back to the plantation. So someone you freed that is out here to look for a job, or is she going to eat sand? Why did you create that law? Why did you create that law? That is to tell you that every damn thing they are doing are all masterminded. I remember a video that I brought here. I can't remember how many years ago or months ago that I brought that video. But a white woman was talking about how, in some communities still present today, they already made, what do they call that? Like rules that some places should not be sold to people that look like me. That is also one of the reasons why houses should not be sold to people that look like me. That is one of the reasons why when some of my people are looking for apartments and they probably made a call and they are like, oh, okay, come and check out the apartment. You will like it. If you like it, pay, and then we'll move on. When you get there to pay, guess what? Oh, they'll be like, oh, I never knew you are a black person. You sounded so white. Because they know what they are doing. I also remember bringing video of a woman who said that the husband couldn't get a house, not until she stepped in because she is a different color from the husband. I have also brought video of here about a black woman who actually got a job. They told her she got the job, then went to pick up her, startup and the rest of it. Oh, the manager was like, oh, I never knew you were a black person. I thought you were white. Why? Because you sounded so white. And then she ended up getting into the organization and the woman decided to treat her horribly. And to tell you how bad you might have treated somebody, and the person decided to resign because she couldn't stay. And then ended up writing to the organization that she's quitting. These were the reasons why she's quitting. And they said there is no room for racism at their place of work. And decided to reward her and sack the person that started all the brouhaha. My people have been through it in you people's hands. And you are here seated and you want to tell us that there is no systemic racism. The system that you see, the system that was already built for you. Now, each time I tell them that, how come you guys were how many years ahead? You guys were how many years ahead? Still, you do not want black people to continue to prosper. You have all it takes. All it takes. When I say all it takes to make it in this life. But once you see a black person doing great, you guys are pissed. You cannot contain it. You cannot. Why? Because you are not good. You are not good. I used to seeing my people prosper. And one thing I'm going to tell black people is that, you know what? You deserve everything great and everything beautiful that will happen to you, that is happening to you, and that is yet to happen. These people are betting their butts, not me. Because you know that it is a thing. Systemic racism is a thing. Because it is not a thing. I want God to look. See, you guys have been criticizing our hair from the beginning that I cannot even go and look for jobs some certain places, and without you telling me to go and probably cut my hair because it's unprofessional. How can you tell somebody that hair that is growing out from his scalp is not professional? Some of the things that is happening to people that look like me, the system is something that they built and stamped it until today. It is still working. People that look like me are most likely to die or while giving birth. Sometimes I don't know if these people are thinking right or they are not thinking right, but see, enough of that, your BS. If you want to throw that tantrum or what, just go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. I remember bringing a video of a white woman who married a black man, and the man does not like cops. And each time they have that, discussion, the woman, the woman will get pissed. Well, like, but that my grandfather was this, my father is, my brother is. How come you don't like cops and all of that? The husband will explain, but she just refused to understand because she has been reading all of this online. but they do not ever want to understand anything. Not until it probably happens right in front of them. Not until the day the husband was harassed to stupor right in front of her. She was crying so badly that she has to come online to say that she is advocating for this. You are able because you are married to a black man. Maybe the man, you are, okay, I don't want to say nonsense at this point in time. One thing I know for sure is that black people will never come out and say something that is not happening to them. I have never heard, I have never experienced that. For whatever a black man or a black woman is telling you, it is happening. It's just that you refuse to do your assignment and refuse to do your job. Systemic racism is a thing that you all have made that nothing will dismantle it. And that is one of the reasons why black people are trying so hard to dismantle it. You guys are not helping out. Why? Because it benefits you people more. I will draw my cut in here. Bye for now.